good. Welcome, everyone, to the April 7th Barrington Select Board meeting. Could I call to order and have a roll call attendance, please?
Samaco, present.
Matrick.
Capiello here.
Sakosha here.
Hardikoff is here. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have an agenda review, one added item to the agenda under consent agenda number 6 would be the Ramsdale Lane maintenance expenditure in the amount of $11,000 that would be presented under consent agenda. May I ask for a motion to add that?
Could I actually just ask?
Oh, certainly.
I just have a quick clarification. You may not even need to take it off the agenda, but in the letter that we've received from the Charitable Foundation, they talk about, Connor, you would actually need to take it to probate court to get a clear, valid answer, but that's not required.
No, and that risk is on the developer. And so, their non-object position is helps them have as clear of a title as possible with this very messy subdivision. And so, yes, our attorney has no concerns with that. Like I said, that risk or circumstances really the developers to accept.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate you reviewing it.
I'm okay with the risk.
Okay. And a motion to add K, please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the April 7th, 2025 agenda as amended with the addition of H.
I'll second it.
Okay. In a second. Roll call, please.
Samaco, aye.
Matrick, aye.
Capiello, aye.
Sakosha.
And Hardikoff, aye. Motion carries. Thank you. We're open currently at this time for public comment, which is limited to 15 minutes total, 3 minutes per person. If you're online, you'd like to speak, please mouse over the front of your screen and click on the raise your hand button and we'll be sure to recognize you. Anyone in-house that would like to speak? At this time, then I will close public comment and open the public hearing for invited guests. School Board Liaison report, please, sir. Go green, Chief.
Gave me one that didn't work. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Mike Carey is a little under the weather, couldn't make it tonight. But we, just a few things going on. We passed the transportation contract at the last meeting. We issued the regular transportation contract. It was a 5-year contract. We gave that to Student Transportation of America, which is our current bus provider, and Specialized Transportation was awarded to First Student out of Rochester. They were the low bid on that. We had, when we put the bid package out, we put a package out that separated the two. So that's put away for 5 years. Substantial difference in price between, on the regular transportation, between the two vendors. There were 2 vendors that bid the regular transportation, and there were 3 vendors that bid specialized transportation. But all told, over the 5 years, if you put the 2 of them together, it's going to realize about a $700,000 savings to the taxpayers over 5 years. So
Excellent.
And a lot of advocacy for this from this school board member right here.
Thank you, sir.
To realize that savings.
We appreciate you.
We've been advertising for a curriculum coordinator for next year. Our current curriculum coordinator has decided to move on. And so we're quite a ways through the process. They put it out. They had oral board interviews in the last week. They'll be doing in-house interviews with the superintendent and I think maybe the director of operations this week, I believe, and with an eye toward being able to go back to, with an eye with the superintendent to be able to come to the board with recommendations, and we'll have, there'll be a number of them that will be invited into the school board meeting, and we'll have a discussion with them and then make a decision who to hire. We use a trimester system for grading rather than quarterly now. I think they have for a few years, but anyway, I believe we just started the last trimester of the year, so the kids are starting to move in the direction. The eighth graders are starting to look toward end of year for them. They're making their decisions on where they want to go to high school next year. And I think I told you last meeting, but we approved the contracts with Dover, Oyster River. We're just waiting for the Department of Education to send them back to us. As of last Tuesday night's meeting, the superintendent was still waiting for them. She knew they were coming. She knows they're coming. We know they're coming, but they're just not here yet. That's pretty much it right now.
Well, thank you.
Outstanding.
Thank you.
Questions, comments, or concerns from the board? Okay. Thank you,
Thank you.
sir.
One item, and Rick doesn't have to stay up here for this, but I had forwarded to the select board when we received it, but included a copy in the materials for tonight's meeting. Last October, we requested the state of New Hampshire Department of Transportation authorization to install at our community's cost reduced speed school zone signs on routes 9 and 125. That was denied recently, much to our dismay, and we have engaged Executive Counselor John Stephen, who's offered to try to help have the department reconsider that request, and he will be attending our June 9th Select Board meeting, and that will be a topic of discussion. The school board members have been invited as well, and anybody interested in the issue of reduced speed school zone signs on Route 9 and 125 is encouraged to attend.
And that was a collaborative letter with support of the school board. Correct?
Unanimous,
Yep.
yes.
Very good. I certainly think as you're heading up Route 4, that the Northwood Elementary School's reduced speed zone of 30 miles an hour is an example of how that can work twice a day for safety's sake. So,
And 155 in Madbury is maybe even a better example, to the extent that their letter cited proximity of the schools to the road and pedestrian traffic as the reasons why our schools weren't eligible. But certainly the schools in Madbury are set back from the road and don't have a lot of pedestrian traffic. So we're optimistic that we'll be able to convince the state to reconsider that with the help of our elected leaders.
excellent. We'll press on then. Consent agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the April 7th, 2025 consent agenda A through K as presented.
Second.
A second. Roll call vote, please.
Smock, aye.
Andrew, aye.
Capello, aye.
Scotia,
Hardikoff, aye. 1, 2. Staff report.
Appointments.
Oh, sorry. Appointments.
we have a lot of appointments.
1, 2, 3, 4 votes. Just for the sake of transparency, I will recuse myself from the Zoning Board of Adjustment votes.
If you'd like to consolidate the votes into one, you can just quickly. The trustee of the trust funds, this is the second review recommended by the existing members of the trustee of trust funds, just a one-year appointment, replacing the vacancy caused by Pat Gingrich's resignation. Matt Moores, you remember we tabled from the Conservation Commission. He was able to connect with the chair at the recent Downtowns and Trails training, and so an alternate appointment is on for a vote. And in the zoning board, the shuffle here is our newly selected chair. Tracy Hardikoff is moving to an alternate position in the zoning board. That was a topic of discussion when we had when Alexander Smacco ran for the select board, the idea of having 2 full members of the select board and zoning board, although there isn't anything in law preventing it, the discussion was maybe it's best to not consolidate in that way. And so as a result of that, Tracy Hardikoff will be moved to an alternate member of the zoning board to have some depth in that board as well. And Mr. Graff, who was recently appointed as an alternate, will move into a full member role. And so both of those are existing members, but just changing from alternate to full and full to alternate respectively. And those are the four up for a vote.
Would you like to do them collectively, folks?
I would move that we vote to approve the ones we talked about, the four people.
A through E.
Well, yeah.
That are up for a vote.
Yeah, there's a big gap in there, but Matt Moore for
Conservation?
yeah, thank you, Conservation Commission as an alternate, Tracy Hardikoff as Zoning Board of Adjustment alternate, Tim Graff to be moved from an alternate to a full member of the board, of the zoning board.
And Kim Bennis, trustee.
And Kim Bennis, right. I knew there was one up there.
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Demaco, aye.
Nantrick, aye.
Happy LOI.
Sakosha, aye.
And Hardikoff, aye, with recusal on the zoning board votes.
Those up for discussion, there's a library trustee alternate, actually a longtime elected member of the library trustees is being presented for an alternate appointment, Robert Drew. Energy Committee, our most recent select board member, Robert Gibson, is interested in continuing in his capacity with the Energy Committee. Conservation Commission, additionally, Mariah Habershaw has attended a couple of meetings. She works in the City of Portsmouth's water department and is a member of the community interested in joining the Conservation Commission. Those are the appointments up for discussion.
Anyone feel that we need to have a quick non-public following the meeting in reference to anything?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Related to the appointments or something different?
Related to appointments.
Appointments.
Okay. Staff reports, please, sir.
There's two more.
Yeah, what about the Lamprey River?
John Wallace and Rebecca Nelson. John Wallace for the Lamprey River Advisory Committee and Rebecca Nelson as Deputy Tax Collector.
Thanks for their volunteerism. Appreciate it.
Okay, staff reports. Here in April, our work anniversaries. Our police chief has served in the town of Barrington his entire police career, which marks 26 years now.
Woohoo.
Absolutely.
Way to go, Chief.
John Booty, who was Barrington's first full-time firefighter, now full-time in the city of Rochester, but still works regular part-time in the town of Barrington for 22 years. He's worked for the town. Deborah Griffin, town clerk assistant for 14 years. Chris Eldridge, an officer in the fire department, 12 years. David Kinnison, 9 years. Henry Resnicek, police officer for 4 years now. Adam Cook, a member of the highway department crew for 3 years. David Levesque Jr., member of the fire department for 3 years. Casey Cooch, member of the fire department for 3 years. And Alan Clement, member of the fire department for 2 years. Appreciate those members' service. Barrington's elected representative series. So as a tradition we started 3 years ago now, I believe, we have engaged our elected leaders representing Barrington to come and discuss with the select board and certainly the community topics of interest to Barrington that are under consideration in Concord. And so the goal for this process is always a two-way dialogue where generally the select board has identified legislation of interest that they've heard about either through NHMA or other legislative monitoring and presented the list of those pieces of legislation to our elected leaders to be able to give them an opportunity to research them and come prepared to discuss their position or what they expect from those pieces of legislation. Also, this is an opportunity for our elected leaders to bring pieces of legislation that are of particular interest to them, impacting our community that they'd like to discuss with the select board and create that opportunity. And so we have almost everything finalized. Next meeting, Senator Waters and Representative Levesque will be here on April 21st. On May 12th, Representative Harrington will be here. On June 9th, as we discussed, Executive Counselor John Stephen will be here, this will be the first time in 6 years that we would have our Executive Counselor participate in a meeting, which is great. I was appreciative of his interest. On July 14th, we'll have Representative Howard, and Representative Turcotte has a variable schedule with his career. And so, as we've done in the past, usually within a week or two of the meeting, he's able to identify if his schedule syncs up. And so I expect that he'll probably attend one of those meetings, probably May through July. And if we can get that solidified in time for the town administrator report, I'll certainly include it. But as we've done in the past, I expect we would welcome him based on his availability, any of the members. So homework for the select board is really those pieces of legislation of interest. I included a link to the New Hampshire Municipal Association legislative bulletins, which certainly bring a lot to the forefront. The House committee just approved the budget going to the full House. That's certainly a topic of interest. There is municipal impact in the state budget affecting our revenues, like setting rooms and meals tax distribution as a fixed amount instead of 30%, which it was renewed to a couple of years ago. That might not reduce our dollar amount of distribution, but it won't grow, which rooms and meals tax has been growing in the last couple of years. So that would be an impact. And there are a couple of other pieces of the state budget and certainly plenty of other legislation with local interest. So if you have any, please let me know, and I'll consolidate those and get those to our elected leaders.
I've been trying to look at zoning laws. There are so many zoning laws that are proposed.
Yes, there
So
are.
I haven't finished my list.
And as an example, there are a lot of statewide zoning pieces of legislation under consideration in both the House and the Senate. And this board and the planning board has made clear our desire to maintain our local control, especially as it relates to zoning. And so with that direction, staff have been able to advocate to the folks in Concord. And there was a piece of legislation in the Senate that was recently approved that would have set 1.5 acre zoning, maximum lot size statewide if you don't have water or sewer services. And so I had a long conversation with Senator Waters, and he introduced an amendment to increase that. He increased it to 2 acres. With an additional carve out for wetlands and septic, local wetlands and septic regulations, which may result in larger lot sizes. The fate of that piece of legislation is unclear in the House, but certainly there is a lot, and advocacy does have an impact. That was an area where folks were able to find some common ground. But still, statewide zoning is an erosion of local control. So it's
I
important.
heard a survey result that got released today, and 88% of New Hampshire residents who participated in the survey were in favor of the 2 acre zoning.
Okay, moving on from that, select board committee assignments. We included a table showing the assignments, which mostly have not changed. Our select board chair has picked up a liaisonship to the Conservation Commission and Energy Committee, and has engaged with those chairs to work out an arrangement to be able to be available to them and pass information along. Ayers Lake boat launch update. So at the March 26th Governor and Council meeting, they authorized an extension to the Ayers Lake boat launch grant through the end of 2025. So we'll work through designing improvements to that boat launch, which will be able to be permitted. The Swains Lake Village Water District closed on the Duds Conservation easement. This was a family that approached the Town Conservation Commission at the leadership of Ken Grossman, interested in honoring their late brother's wishes to conserve the property. Beautiful. And we were able to meet and realize that this property abutting the Swains Lake Village Water District property on Swains Lake, they were maybe the most beneficial recipient of the property. And so through partnership with the town, making a financial contribution and serving in a capacity of facilitator, they were able to secure an additional grant and a discounted transaction price from the family. And so that property closed, an exciting conservation of over 70 acres in in around Swains Lake.
They're still gonna be able to hunt on there, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Where does that put us at for conserved land and water mass areas? We were at 47%. Are we at 48%, 49?
That 47% includes land in current use. And so I can get updated numbers. Generally, the best numbers are included in the MS1, the total assessed values, which is compiled every September. So that's generally update that data, but certainly 72 acres moves the needle, and there are other conservation projects which will advance that as well. But as land comes out of conservation, that also offsets those numbers.
Understood.
Yep. I included a list of training opportunities as well. If any folks are interested, if you need help registering, let me know. And a lot of these are available following the session if you register to have a recording in the materials. So even if you can't attend or participate, we can get you registered and have access to the materials and recording. And that's all I have.
Yes.
For the, from the consent agenda, the deed for the area for signature, and this Thursday you'll have 4 oaths. I will make sure you do not sign your own.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any new business that needs to come before the board? All right. Let's do select board reports before the next public comment session. Anything to report out from ZBA?
We have one case that's being continued on an ongoing basis. That was the only case that had any movement at the most recent hearing, and there is going to be a meeting with council just to get a better understanding of some of the recent changes and interplay of statewide zoning and the results of our vote, and just on some other tune-up issues. There's to report for ZBA.
Okay. Anna?
School board, thank you, Rick, did my report. Did mention, I always appreciate that. Yeah, it was $150,000 a year increase was what they were projecting. So over 5 years, it's a good deal. There was some question about reliability, but I think $150,000 worth of liability may not move the needle very far. So thank you, Rick. There was a letter that was being prepared to go to the governor and the general court in general concerning the funding for schools and taking money away for vouchers. When the last I heard, and Rick, you can probably straighten it out a little bit for me, they were hoping that maybe we would also, as a board, look into that. Did you get a copy of that, Connor? Did she send it?
I have not.
Oh, okay. It's my understanding that was going over, but we'll give you my copy here.
So the question was, would the select board as well support that?
Right, so let us get it out so we can see.
Okay.
In terms of signing on, writing our own letter, just what are the mechanics?
Take your pick, I think.
We get a list of what's being cut and affected.
Yeah, there are some indications. I think the average cost is per student in the state is $21,000. Or is that may be just ours, 21,000, but the
To go to high school, right?
just per pupil
Every school. Yeah.
across the board. And the state's constitutional mandate is to support an adequate education, and they're capping it at 5,600, I think, 5,000, close to $17,000, $21,000 per pupil across the state. So much for that constitution, but we might want to be interested. I'll get you the copy, and maybe I ought to check with Deanna. I thought they were going to send. I would have done this, except I thought that was being sent over.
Should we let Connor handle that and then get back to us
Yeah,
at our next meeting?
that's what I would propose.
Is that your understanding that? Okay. Yep. Okay. Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
I'll report back. We have a collaboration meeting on the 24th. Obviously,
All
we
right.
have another select board meeting between now and then, but
Good. Now you do my report. Thank you. Does my report for me, but I think I can get you on the library here. We talked about Robert Drew, which we've already discussed. At the meeting on the 16th of March, they talked the new buildings on time, on budget. So far, so good. They got a $10,000 grant for from the American Library Association, which is nice. It's for improving their services for vision and hearing impaired people.
Excellent.
And they're going to have a mural painted in the children's area. They've identified a person to do
For our
that.
local murals.
But no, no, I forget her name. At any rate, it's going to cost $3,000, but no, Sandy's not doing that. The foundation and friends say that their solar project funding is going well. Don't know exactly what that means, but supporting that. Then on the 27th of March, they had an emergency meeting of the Board of Trustees. I didn't attend the meeting itself, but I did contact and talk with people. Apparently all their computers crashed and burned. They fixed them and then they burned again. So they had planned to upgrade all the hardware and the software for the new building. But since it was making it very difficult for them to function now, they decided to do an emergency meeting. The proposal was $8,000 from the capital reserve funding. I thought we had to approve that as a school, as a select
We
board.
do.
They're probably the agents to expend. I can research
I know
that.
they're separate. So if you could research that, please.
I'll let you know.
And they've already gone ahead with it. They got their. I talked to them today. They have their laptops. The rest of the thing is they're waiting on the response from the company. So.
Oh.
Go.
Okay.
I have a question for you. Did they do a design yet for the roof over at the library to see how much it would produce?
I
before
don't
they
know the
seek
answer to that.
funds?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they said that the roof would support a pretty good display, but I don't remember the details of that.
Okay.
Library trustee, library technology capital reserve was established at town meeting 2010, Article 15, and the agents to expend were the library trustees.
Oh,
Okay. So we don't need to do anything.
Correct.
Excellent. Thank you for looking.
So they did it.
To your question, when there was an afternoon meeting here with the committee, and they talked about reducing their energy use by about 10 to 13,000 based on it. That was just a general statement.
Well, it's different when you put like a design on the paper and then, they have programs that can kind of guess what the weather's going to be. It's all dependent, but, you can get a good roundabout saying, hey, it's going to produce this much. So if you know it's going to produce that much in electrical, we'll just say a rough number, we're going to save $1,000 a month, and it's $12,000 a year, and say it costs, $100,000 to do. That's where it's like, you want to make a good decision on that, make sure that it's not going to be a long term, being like, hey, we're doing that, but, our bills are still, our electrical is still $3,500 a month. We have a lot going on here. It helps, but it's not, you're not going to see that quick ROI, because you want to get it before at least 25 years. That's when all the warranties and stuff go, so.
My understanding of this project is the Library Foundation is presenting to the trustees and then ultimately to the select board a proposal to fully fund the solar installation by either a transfer of the funds or of the project. Details haven't been worked out yet. But the idea is the select board would be in a position to consider acceptance of those funds for that purpose at a public hearing. And so it isn't clear if the select board didn't accept that, if they would still donate those funds. But the idea is that the project is just being donated, period. That will have to come before the select board. If there are detailed pieces of information, like an analysis of the anticipated productivity, which I would imagine would be in the responses to the RFP that would just came due, I can certainly, if the board wants that, I can certainly request that ahead of that public hearing to make sure that if as part of your calculus, you're going to evaluate, does solar on this building make sense to me as a board member, as well as should we accept this donated infrastructure, then, let me know if you want the former so we can get that information.
Definitely, to make an educated decision, I feel.
Others as well?
I don't think it can hurt to have the information.
Great.
So planning board, the Mary Hill was continued, so we didn't hear that. The Oak Hill Whitmer's Road is progressing, and that would be 14 houses. We're waiting right now for the town and the developer to get the language around the open space. The town will be the.
That's about 45 acres, so 14 homes
The
on
number's
about
probably
40.
closer to 30 for
Okay.
this lot, because there is some open space around the house.
Gotcha.
So somewhere in there.
Okay.
And one other thing I wanted to say, which isn't on my committee, but lots of people in town are happy with Fidium fiber. My husband went to the post office to mail back all the stuff. He said there was a long line. Everybody had a package with a prepaid mailer of sending things back to Breezeline.
And there we have it. Yeah.
They told us ours was so out of date, send it to the transfer station.
Oh, really?
Recycle it. Understood. Okay. Vice Chair.
What's shaking at the rec is we definitely have a fishing tournament coming up in May. And then also on top of that, as far as the BCDC side of things, I've been around to local businesses to establish intercepting points for the intercept study for the UNH trails. And that's going well. And yeah, a lot of businesses on board and excited. So.
And I think we have either Saturday or Sunday an egg hunt, right?
Yes.
To pre-register for? Okay. Anything else? No. Okay, so to get everyone up to date on what's happening in all things Energy Committee. So the Energy Committee is currently working towards a certification called Sol Smart, S-O-L Smart. And along with that comes a review of all of our zoning ordinances surrounding solar usage within the town of Barrington. And there'll be some interplay with the land use department and the planning board, bringing forward some of the proposed language changes that Sol Smart would recommend in order to get that certification from the Sol Smart group, which is led by the Interstate Renewable Energy Council. So in a nutshell, that is one of their big projects. I think that's about it.
Great.
So let's open up for public comment one more time. If you're online and you wish to speak, please feel free to mouse over your screen. Click on the little hand and we'll recognize you. And seeing that there is not someone online in person.
Hi, I'm speaking as a fire chief, talking about the solar array for the library. I would just encourage you to make sure that solar array, should it go on that building, is built to meet the fire code. Thank you.
Excellent. Any other public comment? At this time, then I will close public comment. Based on earlier, a quick non-public session for purpose of reputation, I think is appropriate. Could I have a motion for that?
Motion to enter non-public for reputation.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Smock-O, aye.
And Shrek, aye.
Get the other one.
Let's go, Shane.
And Hardikoff, aye. Thank you all. Roll call, please.
Monaco, aye.
And sure guy.
Gabriella, aye.
Sakosha.
And Hardikoff, aye. Tell me when we're back.
We're back.
Okay, welcome everyone back to the, what's today's date?
April 7th.
April 7th Select Board meeting. We have exited non-public session where no decisions were made. And at this time, I would entertain a motion to end our meeting and move to strategic planning.
Make a motion to exit and enter the strategic plan.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Monaco, aye.
And sure guy.
Gabriella, aye.
Sakosha.
Hardikoff, aye. Thank you all.